A very good morning, children. Today we are going to read about fire, friend, and foe. Children, during this Diwali, when you were burning crackers or when your mother uh, lit the lamps and when she kept everywhere as and decorated the house, when you were moving here and there with your long skirts on or your pants or the things whichever you are taking in your hand, when you are moving here and there, your mother always used to tell you, be careful, because light is there. So light, it is, it gives beauty, it helps a lot. And if you are not careful, it will be very dangerous. Foe, enemy. So fire is both a friend and also enemy. It all depends on how careful you are when you are using this fire. Okay. Now let us know what the author wanted to tell us about this. Early man did not know what fire was, but he must have seen the danger, the damage it could cause. We must have watched lightning and volcanoes along before he began to use fire himself. Fire was powerful and dangerous, and he was frightened. So, early man did not know what fire was, but how to lit the fire, nothing he knows. But he must have seen the damage that was caused by the fire, because whenever any lightning is there, some houses or some trees were burned, and then when a volcano comes, how the magma, the liquid rock which is very very hot will be moving everywhere and destroying everything. He must have seen that, so he understood that it is very powerful and also very dangerous, and he was really frightened of this fire, afraid of this fire. Fire may have puzzled early man, but we now know that fire is the result of a chemical reaction. When the oxygen in the air combines with carbon and hydrogen in a fuel, a chemical reaction takes place. Energy is a form of heat and light is released in this process. That is what we call fire. So here the author is telling us what is fire. So we know previously, long ago, early man did not know what is a fire, so he was very much afraid. But we know now what is fire. It is nothing but the result of a chemical reaction. Few chemicals meet and then the reaction takes place. So when oxygen in the air combines with carbon and hydrogen in a fuel, a chemical reaction takes place and then energy is formed in the form of heat and light, and that energy is released. We are calling that energy as fire. It is nothing but the chemical reaction. Three things are needed to make fire: fuel, oxygen, and heat. Wood, coal, cooking gas, and petrol are some examples of fuel. Oxygen comes from the air. That is why when we blow on smothering paper, it often bursts into flame. The third thing needed to make fire is heat. Fuel and oxygen do not make fire by themselves, or else a newspaper or a stick lying in the open would catch fire on its own. It won't catch fire on its own. To burn a piece of paper or wood, we heat it before it catches fire. We generally do it with a lighted match. Every fuel has a particular temperature at which it begins to burn. This temperature is called as flash point or kindling temperature of the fuel. So here the author is telling us three things are needed to make a fire. Fuel is needed, oxygen is needed, and heat is needed. So fuel means example food, coal, cooking gas, and petrol. These are the example of fuel. and oxygen comes from the air. That is why when you blow on smoldering paper, it often bursts into flame. So the third thing what we need is the fire. So without fire, if you keep the paper or wood or anything else in the air where oxygen is available, it is not going to burn. So what is needed? Fire is needed. So how are we getting the heat? From the match box. Generally we use matchstick. Fuel and oxygen do not make fire by themselves. What is needed is stick lying. When we burn, only then it catches the fire. Here is the example how in the fire is there and the remaining things, and then how the fireman is using water to put out the fire. So we heat it before it catches fire. What we take a matchbox, and if all coal is there or wood is there, dry leaves are there, we keep a matchbox, lighted matchbox there, and we start blowing, and then only it catches fire. When we are blowing, oxygen is supplied, heat matchbox is supplied, and then dry fuel is there. So all these three things together will make the fire. Otherwise, it's not possible. So, in each and every fuel, it has some particular temperature to catch the fire and burn. That temperature is called as flash point or kindling temperature of the fuel. It is sometimes said that fire is a good servant but a bad master. It only means that fire is very useful as long as it is kept under control. So when we are using fire, if we are really very careful, that will be a good servant. If we are not careful, then it will be the master. It will start burning itself. So for instance, we use it to cook our food, warm our houses in winter, and to generate electricity. But on the other hand, if fire gets out of control, it can be very dangerous. Every year, thousands of homes and shops are damaged by fire. Vast areas of forest are also destroyed, and hundreds of people are killed or injured. Especially this festive season, Diwali children. Now, because of COVID, many people did not burn the crackers. Maybe there were little bit less fire accidents, but otherwise, every time after Diwali, you do find that many fire accidents are taking place. Okay, so if fire gets out of control, it becomes very dangerous, and every year thousands and thousands of shops and homes and even the forest getting damaged, and many people are getting injured because of fire. Just as three things are needed to start a fire, there are three main things in which the fire can be put out. In each of these three things needed for burning is taken away. Three things are needed to make a fire. What are they? Fuel is needed, oxygen is needed, and the other one, heat, matchstick. These three are needed. So there are three ways to put out the fire also. So in these three ways, what the author is telling us is we are taking away one thing from each and everything. So if fire is not there, fuel, the heat is not there, these two cannot burn. If oxygen is not there, even then fire is there, heat is there, but fuel is there, it cannot burn. And when fuel only is not there, it won't burn. So in each method, what the author was trying to tell us is that one thing is taken out to put out the fire. For example, we take away the fuel. If the fire has no fuel to feed on, no burning can take place. We often let the fire die out simply by not adding more fuel to it. If we don't add fire to that, the fire will automatically be put out. The second way of putting out a fire, is to prevent oxygen from reaching it. So, supply of oxygen means no fire. Small fires can be put out or smothered with a damp blanket or a sack. This stops oxygen reaching the burning material. Sometimes carbon dioxide is used to extinguish fire. It does not allow oxygen to reach the burning material. So first method is don't add any fuel. then the fire will automatically put out. Second thing is, see that oxygen does not reach the fire. So what is it they will be doing to do that? A damp blanket or a sack will be taken and then covered that so that oxygen does not reach there. And sometimes carbon dioxide is also used to put out the fire. It does not allow oxygen to reach the burning material, carbon dioxide. That is why we use carbon dioxide to put out the fire. The third way of putting out the fire is to remove the heat. So heat is removed from the burning thing, then there won't be any fire. If the temperature can be brought down below the flash point, so each and every material will have some flash point to catch the fire. If that flash point, if that temperature is brought down, then the material will not catch fire. The fuel stops burning. You blow on a burning matchstick or a candle to put it out. In doing so, you remove the hot air around the flame, bringing out its temperature below the flash point, and the candle goes out. So when you happy birthday candles, you that is not a new thing for you. So what are you doing when after keeping all the candles? You are blowing the air. So in that process, what are you doing? You are seeing that the air around that is not heat. You are blowing out, and the less temperature air you are keeping that, and because result of that, the fire or the matchstick or the candle is put out. Sometimes water is sprayed on the fire. It absorbs heat from the burning fuel and lowers the temperature, and the blanket of water also cuts off the supply of oxygen, and the fire is extinguished. So it all sometimes what they will do, they'll spray water as we have seen there in the picture. So when the water is poured, that it helps him to reduce the temperature, and because of that the heat will be stopped. It won't burn. And then blanket of water is also sometimes cuts the supply of oxygen, and then because of that the fire will be put out. Some fires cannot be put out with water. If water is sprayed onto an oil fire, the oil will float on the top of water and continues to burn. This can be very dangerous because water can flow quickly, carrying the burning oil with it and spreading the fire. Water should also not be used on fires caused by electrical appliances. The person spraying water might receive an electric shock and be killed. A carbon dioxide extinguisher is the best thing to fight an electrical fire. So two things they are telling us. So when the fire is caught because of oil, if you spread water there, so on the water oil will float. So the water is helping the fire to spread fast. So it is very dangerous. You should not pour water when when the fire is caused because of oil. And then the other thing is, water should not be used again when the fire accident happened because of some electrical appliance. So if you pour water on that electrical appliance, the person, whoever is spraying water, will catch the fire because water is the good conductor of electricity, and that person may get shock and even maybe killed. So you have to use carbon dioxide extinguisher to stop the fire. We spend millions of rupees each year in fighting fires, and we spend more trying to find new ways of preventing fire from happening and getting out of control. On the whole, we have learned rather well to control fire and put it to good use in our everyday life. So we are spending lots of millions and millions of rupees every year in fighting fires. So we spend more trying to find new ways of preventing fire from happening and getting out of control. So on the whole, rather we learned rather to control the fire than to put out the fire. Long ago, there are no firemen. When fire broke out, everybody became a firefighter. People formed human chains. They still do it if required, and passed buckets of water from well or a pond to the blaze where it was burning. And then now there are laws about building constructions which ensure that space is left between buildings to reduce the fire risk. See, when in olden days when was caught, then how were they you used to do that? This is a picture. They used to get water and they were forming a chain like that, and spreading the water and giving that water to the person where the fire is there, and they will pour the water, and that's how the fire was put out. Okay. Now, when you are constructing any buildings also, many laws were made to see that there is enough place between building and building, so that the fire, if it is there on one building, it won't catch the other building. And every new building, especially the public place, must ensure observance of fire prevention norms. It means in our school also, I think you remember that there were red colored boxes were there to put out the fire. Yes, that was necessary to be there. Bands of firefighting workers with special equipment known as fire brigades are there to put out the fire. So fire brigades people are there. They will be coming in a red vehicle with lot of water and taking a water pipe, and then pouring water on that. And this is the picture. Yes. So they use that. In that there will be water, and if it is a very tall building, they use this ladder, and then they will put out the fire like this. Fire brigades. Firefighters are already trained or highly trained people. They possess many skills. They cut off electricity supply, knock down dangerous walls, spray water and other materials to bring fire under control. They are also trained in first aid, so that, yes, children, these people are very well trained so that they can help people suffering from burns or from effects of smoke. So when they were carrying this vehicle full of water and other equipments, whatever are necessary, which will put the fire down. So what they will do, first they will break all the walls, whichever were very weak, and so that they may not fall. And wherever there was fire, they will pour water and other things required so that they put out the fire. And they are also trained in first aid, because after the accident, if there are any dangers are there, like if anybody burns are wounded, then they will help the people with that. The discovery of fire and its uses helped early man to cope with nature better and gradually adopt a settled mode of life. Fire is still worshipped in many parts of the world. Fire is indeed a friend, but as we know, it can be dangerous enemy once it gets out of control. Children, I need not tell you that we, in our school also, we worshipped fire many times, right? Vaishnav Devi Madam was performing yagna, and we were all there to pour the fuel there to see that the fire is enhanced. We used to keep even oil also in the ghee also in that, right? We performed many yagnas. So we do worship fire. Early man, after discovering the fire and after knowing the uses of that and what is that they can do, then started living, adopted a settled mode of life, that living at one place, not going from place to place. So fire is indeed a very good friend, and we know it is also a very dangerous enemy if we are not able to control that fire. If we can control it and it is little bit, then that is really a very good thing. That's why we are using fire even to cook the food, because we can control it. Switch on and off is there in our control. So there it is our friend. It is helping us to give a very delicious and very good food. Yes, yes, children. With that, we completed the lesson, and here is comprehension check questions, and all the other remaining things are there working here, and then all these. I want you all complete all these exercises. They are all very simple, and you can do that. Okay, children. Thank you.